your to just rip your body apart physically, which means internally we always are limiting ourselves for a good thing. Nobody wants to break their legs because they're strong, but it's a dumb example. And by the way, I use dumb examples. I don't mean that I'm dumb. You guys know that, right? I'm using a dumb example to give you hope, to go, yeah, the simple examples work, therefore the complicated ones work too. But if we just focus on the simple ones, the basics, there is no more complication than you need besides the basics. Okay, that's just the first step. But have any of us pushed ourselves? No. Have we been pushed to the limit? Maybe. But we have never pushed ourselves ever. I don't know any human being who can say honestly that they have pushed themselves to their absolute maximum. And because I've seen people do physical things that are amazing. I've seen people have mental resilience. That's amazing. I've seen people go from being emotionally responsive to choosing to be just let it happen, to people who push back, to people who just accept that other people are having their own bad day and it doesn't bother them anymore. And all of those are just stages in maturity of growth. So when you say, have you pushed yourself? Most people think something along the lines of, I must, and then they put in some kind of measurable action and activity. And the truth is, you don't need to do any of that. You simply need to do the things that you're avoiding and the things that are uncomfortable. Because all of us do the things that are easy, naturally, easily, with no problems, which is why I call it your superpower. You want to know the true, unbelievable, rip open your shirt and see the big giant star and the I'm the hero of the story. You want to know what that is? That is when you choose to mentally overcome the things that you're afraid of. Not to conquer them, not to dissuade them, not to change them, not to do anything other than just face them and move forward anyway. Like Rocky said, I mean, there's a amazingly awesome scene in the very last Rocky movie where he's talking to his son and he said, life is not, I'm going to paraphrase it, his life isn't sunshine and rainbows. It will kick you out, spit you out if you let it. But it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's about how much you can take and keep moving forward. And if you want momentum is the physics of continuing motion. That's it. You have to do some energy to get started, but momentum is just keeping going. And the easiest way to keep going is to face your fears and overcome them by taking action anyway. If you can do that, you can succeed at anything. And I'll cheer for you.
Yeah, I love what you said, Andy. Yeah, that Rocky quote is definitely that's a powerful one. And yeah, I'm really reminded of the story of Roger Bannister. If you guys don't know who Roger Bannister is, he broke the 4 minute mile record. And all the doctors told him before, like, hey, your heart's gonna explode, you're gonna die, no one can do it, you're blah blah blah. And then what was even more impactful of him breaking the record was what happened after. So 30 other people ended up setting more records after he did it. So yeah, like we definitely, can push ourselves further. And I really enjoyed working for Peak Potentials Training, which was T. Harv Ekker's company. I worked for him for 3 years, and that was the same concept was, are you reaching your full potential? right? Are we individually reaching our full potential? How do we achieve more? How do we do more? And yeah, that's just been kind of the progression of all of our lives. It's, we can always do more, we can always be better, we can always do better. And yeah, once you're in momentum, right, it's a great feeling. But we get these indicators that like I did on Saturday, like, hey, you gotta hit the pause button, and just regroup and yeah, take care of yourself health wise. So I want to jump to Katie because she's got her hand up. So welcome, Katie. Happy Monday. Hope you're doing well, and then we'll get Will and Vivi up here.
Oh gosh. So don't do that. Sorry, my son's blowing the whistle. Okay, prisoner out, prisoner out. Okay, my son is still off school. So Justin, I appreciate you share. Oh my God, I'm moving to a different spot in the house so you can't hear the obnoxious whistle. Listen, I sent you a DM actually, Justin, because I went through something similar. And I put majority of, everything, but I'm here for you, and it is a very, very frightening experience. And that's putting it politely. You're just like, please don't let me die. Please don't let me die. It is very, very real and very scary. However, Hudson. A prisoner has escaped. Okay, a prisoner has escaped. Bear with me 2 minutes, please. Count to 180 seconds, and I'll be absolutely with you. Come on.
Okay, sounds good, Katie. No worries.
I want to also go back to school now. Okay, you go upstairs with the whistle. So basically, what I wanted, I can't cope. Do you know what I mean? No wonder I had heart problems. Jesus Christ Almighty. Anyway, what I wanted to share was basically on top of like the momentum Monday, have you push yourself to the limit, etc. Is and I'm so excited to share this. And hi Andy, hi Yvonne, hi everyone, and Will. So I just got the news today. My son is only 7, and he entered into, we entered him into, say we as in my son and I, entered him into a photography competition. And like Andy was saying, based on this, do you push yourself to the limits? Okay, well, we went out and we purposefully, trying to explore what represents strength. And we communicated so beautifully and openly about it. And there's a method to the madness about why I'm sharing this. Because at just 7 years old, hundreds upon hundreds enter this competition. And I just literally moments ago got an email from his art teacher, who was so proud to say that he had been shortlisted, albeit he didn't win the category, he's only 7. That they were so honoured that he was shortlisted. And I had tears in my eyes. I was so proud. I was like, yes, my son. Not just because I was proud that, he was as successful as he was, but I called my mother up and I said, this is going to go in his portfolio of amazingness. But please, God, when he goes to his next school, I can write up his resume of all the great things that he has achieved. So there's one thing pushing yourself to the limit, but then also, ensuring that you build a solid foundation and celebrate these small wins, and make note of them and mark them so that you can look back on them and say, well, actually, if I feel, I need to keep going, I need to do more, just pause and take a look at all of the great stuff that you've achieved. So I started to put together his resume at 7. Not that he's going to look for a job, because right now he's prison officer guard of his bedroom, so he's very happy in that role. But he's also placed on the podium the last 3 times in his competitive gymnastics competitions. And so on and so forth. And he is just the most, I'm not being biased, he's just a wonderful kid. And I thought, if I can help him out now by putting down the tiles of his foundation, then he's not going to have to rush and panic by the end of it. That's not 180. We're just 10 seconds off. He's not going to have to panic when he gets too close to the wire and put himself under that unnecessary stress and pressure. So I just really wanted to share that. And I'll go on mute for the minute. But Justin, I did send you some amazing stuff. I sent you some great thingamabobs recommendations for professors, etc.
Yeah, thank you so much, Katie. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I love the reframe there. Like, are we pushing ourselves to our potential? And I think that's the reframe that I like. And yeah, health is wealth, like Cindy said, and we've mentioned it before. And and yeah, I will definitely take a look at that DM from you, Katie. Thank you so much. And yeah, you have a gifted son, and we're all gifts. We're all gifts, and we have to tap into those gifts. We all have those superpowers, as Andy likes to say, and make sure we're talking to the right people at the right time with the right offer and with the right budget and the right timing, and everything will work out. So, um, okay, yeah, good.
Is that yes, I have a lovely son, and he is gifted at great things, but also, I wish my mum had done this for me when I was a kid. But it also goes to show, it doesn't matter how old you are or where you are at in life. It's always just important to count your blessings and take stock of everything you've done. And when you take a meta perspective, look at that, it will put you in a better standing to then navigate how you wish to move forward. Because pushing yourself to the limit, for me personally, means that one is in a state of panic. Oh, they've got to do this, they've got to keep going, they've got to go, 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 go. And it's all about future, 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 go, go, go. But why does one feel the need to have to do that? If they take a moment and take stock of the greatness that they've achieved, which will give them a better idea. Oh dear, a better idea of where they could potentially go without having to panic.
Yes, well said. Yes. Yeah, and those panic attacks can happen. I mean, those panic attacks can happen. So, um, well, thank you so much, Katie, for the contribution, and great to have you here in the space. And wishing you a great day as always. And I want to go to VB and then Yvonne and Will. So, VB, welcome. Ronin, how's it going?
It's going fine, Justin. I'll need a couple of minutes. I'm just hanging with my mom, so I'll just need a couple of minutes so I can go after a bit.
Okay, yeah, thanks, VB. All right, let's go to Will. Will, how's it going?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ronins. It's going really well, Justin. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, after my SVT episode in the ER on Saturday, I'm feeling much better, but yeah, it was a bit scary. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? I'm here. I'm here and I'm alive, and yeah, that's the important thing. So just trying to take inventory and you know, yeah, but I'm here. So thank you, Will. It's great to connect with you.
Absolutely. It's like Andy says, every day above ground is a good day. So grateful. So interesting question, and I quite like Katie's take on this. I think that there's a very real difference between pushing yourself to the limit out of fear that you are not enough unless you do, and embodying who you want to be and allowing that action to flow. I think there's a big difference. And I know that several people in this room will be able to relate to the fact that when you are in flow, you produce a higher volume of quality work than you do when you are in a stress response and you're in a sympathetic expression of your nervous system trying to hustle and grind. This is why I'm so anti-grind. Because if you think about it, what a grind is, imagine a car in first gear with the handbrake on, you try and drive that, the engine's going to grind, right? It's resistance, it's friction. So pushing yourself to your limit, that limit can come right the way down and you won't get past 10 miles an hour. You're at your limit for sure, but you're not producing what you want to do, which is forward momentum. Whereas if you are aligned, we'll say, so and again, I'm really big on this equation that we came up with the other day, your clarity, conviction, commitment, and consistency. And you've got all that dialed in. And now you can go at a much higher level without needing to stress the system. Fifth gear, sixth gear, you get way more speed with fewer reps or fewer revs in the engine, right? So I feel like it's always good to maximize your potential because that's what we're here for at the end of the day. You're here to live life on our terms. And my definition of success is living the life you want to live, regardless of what that life looks like to other people. So have you pushed yourself to the limits? I would rephrase that to say, are you living to your potential? And the potential is defined by you, not by other people. Because if you're grinding for a limit that was set by somebody else, you're probably going to be in for a disappointing survival at the end of it. But if you are living the life you want to live, and I love the way Earl Nightingale said this, that success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And the caveat I will add to that is that it's worthy of you, because you have to trade your life for it. So, yeah, I would say at the moment, I am flowing, I'm pushing myself, I'm getting out of my comfort zone more and more every day, getting more and more clear on how I serve people. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's not comfortable, but it is exactly who I chose to be. And the fact that I can live aligned with that is my version of victory. So back to you, Justin.
Yeah, I love that, Will. I actually changed the space title based on that. So, we do a lot of real-time adjustments and building here, as you know. Like, Will literally last space, he updated his profile picture on his bio, and I changed the name of the space right now because that's what we do. We got to do real-time, adjustments, real-time adjustments. People and companies, they do not embrace change majority of the time. And the second that you embrace change, you're on the right path because you're either growing or you're dying. That's the reality. And so, and I love Will's point about when you're in that flow state, and we've talked about it before, that flow state is basically you're in the zone, right? You're in the zone, you are maximizing your full potential where you are in alignment, purpose, passion, profit. I like to use purpose, passion, profit. And yeah, and then I want to share this concept real quickly because Will kind of stemmed this is one of my mentors taught me. So you can operate from a standpoint of head, heart, hand, or you can be very heart-centered and operate from a standpoint of heart, head, hand, right? So if you understand that, it basically means, people typically operate like, head first, then they feel, and then they take the action. But if you have a heart-centered entrepreneur like myself, it's really you look into your heart first. Who am I being? What am I feeling? A heart, and then head, and then hand. Then you do the action. And so, yeah, it's a really powerful concept. One of my mentors taught me, Alex Mendosian, and yeah, really, really, really great stuff, Will. I hope you can stay for a few minutes and continue to contribute to the conversation. It's always great having you on stage. And yeah, let's jump over to VB. VB, welcome.
Justin, I think Katie has her hand up. Perhaps I'll go after her. Oh, no, you spoke. I've spoken. I'll wait until you're done, but thank you for being so gracious. Thank you. I thought you wanted to add into what you had already said. Thank you, Justin, for the space, and I hope you feel better, Justin. I mean, it is quite a scare. You are one of my favorite people on the platform, so take care of yourself, get enough sleep. I understand that you, let's say, don't get 6 to 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis. I understand that because you do talk about the nights you spend till like 3 a.m. and stuff. So I hope you slow down a bit in terms of that, because the greatest enemy to your cardiovascular system is lack of sleep. So yeah, so take care of that, number one. But glad that you're here. Glad that things are fine. Hope that the plan continues. 5 years. So yeah. Now coming back to the topic at hand, Momentum Monday. I feel the same as what Will was saying. I think pushing to the limit is slightly a little bit overrated because, and to prove this, I kind of want to bring in Huberman's 30-80 principle. It's quite brilliant. He says if you're going at 100% every day, you do burn out, which is quite true. If you're going 30%, you're kind of coasting, but the sweet spot is going somewhere between 60 to 80% effort consistently. Think of yourself going to the gym, and if, let's say, 10 push-ups is your limit, right? And when I say limit, I mean like, okay, you feel sore tomorrow if you do 10 push-ups today. Let's assume 10 is your limit. And if you go 100% every single day and you feel sore every single day, you're going to skip a couple of days. So let's assume you do 10 push-ups today. You feel sore tomorrow, so you don't go to the gym. But imagine instead of 10 push-ups, you did only 6 push-ups today. You do 6 push-ups today. You don't feel sore enough. You go to the gym tomorrow as well. So you now do 6 more push-ups. That's 12 repetitions instead of you getting only one day of 10 repetitions. So you're getting a little bit more volume just by going 60% instead of 100%. So this is kind of brilliant. You don't have to push yourself to 100% to get more stuff done, because you will eventually break down. Your favorite M word, momentum, right? It compounds. Let's say going 60 or 70% for 100 days is far greater than going 100% for 30 days and then, giving a couple of days off and stuff. So as a solopreneur, our advantage is real-time adjustment, which I've done 3 times in the past a couple of months. Big enterprises cannot pivot daily, but we can. James Clear in Atomic Habits, he talks about the aggregation of marginal gains. He says 1% better every day compounds to 37x improvement in a year, and we know about this. That's not pushing to the limits. That's sustainable momentum. You just need to be 1% better, right? Outside the comfort zone, yes, but there's a difference between uncomfortable growth and unsustainable grind. Uncomfortable can be doing things that scare you but move you forward. Unsustainable can be like 18, 20-hour days, ignoring burnout signals, forcing what doesn't work. The limit isn't maximum effort, the limit is maximum sustainable effort. And as a solopreneur, I think you can just adjust weekly as well in terms of your system, right? This approach, if this approach doesn't work, find a different approach, but try it for 7 days. If it doesn't, do it again, try it for 7 days. That agility is your limit pushing, not grinding harder, adapting faster. I feel that is pushing to your limits. If that makes sense. But thank you for your time. I have a couple more points, but I wouldn't want to hijack. I would try to chime in every now and then if I feel that I could add some value to this. But thanks for the space, Justin.
Yeah, thank you, Vivi. Always great points as usual, and thank you for the kind words. And yeah, like the triggers, like and the signals, we need to pay attention to those. And sustainable growth is the key that we want here, right? Which is why ideally, it's not always easy, but ideally you want monthly recurring revenue that compounds, right? That's the ideal situation for a sustainable business model is monthly recurring revenue that grows. And this is why I shifted out of, my IT business when I got into marketing. you know, it was monthly recurring revenue because companies always needed, someone to run their ads, right? So that was an ongoing thing. With IT consulting, it was more of like, hey, you solve the problem, you get the server back up and running, and then it's like, problem solved. But what I would do is I would upsell them on monthly computer maintenance and monthly remote backup and other additional services to make that monthly recurring revenue. So you got to be creative. And again, it's not always easy, but it's achievable. So focus and think about for your own businesses, what can I do from a monthly recurring revenue standpoint? Even as small as it is, it compounds and adds up over time. So just to share with you, the Revenue Running community, we're bringing in about $500 a month now. I mean, it's not a lot, right? But it's significant in my book because we started at zero, right? We started at zero. And, we're over a year in now and we're doing $500, a month MRR. So that's, and it's, again, it's the movement, right? It's not about me, it's the movement. It's the movement is growing. And I was on the timeline sharing with another, startup person. He's like, "Wow, that that's pretty strong commitment to commit for, a year and a half and only be doing that type of revenue. And I said, well, yeah, I'm in this for the long run. You know, like, you know, I'm in it for the long run. It's the movement is bigger than me, and that's how much passion and care I have going into this that we're building. So I'm okay if it takes longer, right? I'm okay if it takes longer. And if you do the math, 1,000 people paying $20 a month is, 240,000 a year, right? So, it compounds over time. So know your math, know your key signals, know your triggers that can trigger heart episodes or whatever, right? Is what's showing up for me. And then focus on, as VB said, sustainable growth. Sustainable growth, ideally with monthly recurring revenue. And there's plenty of affiliate programs out there that offer, monthly recurring revenue. So yeah, good stuff, VB, as always. Stem some good thoughts there. Really appreciate it. And yeah, it was good connecting with you on Neta Space on Friday, and I think that if I look back to the triggers, I think that me working 15 hours that Friday could have contributed to that, and the medicine I was taking, they gave me like some sort of steroid that could have triggered it as well. So the point is like keep an eye on these things that can trigger, uh, you know, things for you, because you got to pay attention to those triggers. Got to pay attention to those key signals. So, all right, let's go back over to, and I want to hear from Yvonne as well, but let's go to Katie real quickly, and then I want to go to Yvonne and then Will. Okay, thanks. Go for it, Katie.
Fantastic space, and lots to digest and think about. Point one, I wanted to make you laugh because when you mentioned Roger Bannister, I know that name very well because my when I was back at school, my local school would run races there, and I would walk them, and I never forget it. Roger Bannister, this is something to be proud of. I came 47th out of 47 people in the 1,300 meter or whatever it was. So that always makes me chuckle when I hear Roger Bannister's name. I'm like, okay, I committed to the walk. I didn't just stop and not take part. I also wanted to ask you a question, which I believe that you've already now answered, which is, what are people predominantly chasing? Revenue or the foundational build of their startup? So I don't know if you know this, but I'm a tech startup founder. I'm seeking investment, so I'm in that staging phase to put the next pieces of the puzzles together. However, I have structured this because I'm a single parent with sole custody of my 7-year-old son. So life happens, as well as medical issues happen. But yes, in an ideal world, I would love for it to be generating revenue, of course. But I'm very much focused on building in such a way that is absolutely watertight for safeguarding all those in the creative industries. So when you were talking about revenue, and $500 a month in revenue is phenomenal, and I take my hat off to you. But it also just reminds me of like my dad, who was a company founder and owner, and he would stress out all the time, because his outgoings were then high and he had to match everything up, and then he wanted to earn more and double and triple my brother the same. And so obviously you've changed your space title, but when when one talks about hitting their full potential, does that mean monetary and setting themselves up, as Warren Buffett would say, with a machine that makes money whilst he sleeps, or that you've hit your full potential because you've finally found that strength and courage to branch out on your own and start up your company that you're very passionate about, that solves a global problem and will transform people's lives?
Yeah, great question. So let me break that into two parts here for you, Katie. So the first part is any startup, and thank you for the compliments on the space. We do these every day, Monday through Friday, 6:45 a.m. Pacific. We've been doing them for over a year, so it's great to have you in the startup circle here. So the first thing is any startup that you are undertaking, one of the key leading indicators is revenue. right? Because that does a lot of things. That validates product to market fit, that validates an actual problem that you're solving and a pain point that people are investing in to solve that problem. They believe in it so much. And so revenue has always been a leading indicator for any type of startup to get off the ground and get traction, in my experience. So is it the only? No, but as the Revenue Ronin brand, that we've established here, revenue, we're always looking at revenue as a clear indicator of, hey, is this growing or is it not? And yeah, you can get other, capital sources, but even if you get capital, because I'm going to rewind the clock for a second. I worked at a biotech startup. We had, $40 million and we burned through all that cash and the company closed its doors. Why? Because we couldn't get sustainable growth. The key word is sustainable growth, right? So again, companies there's a bell curve to the product life cycle, right? And if you understand that products have life cycles, right? They have their high point, they're doing really well, but then if they're not reinventing or adding new products or differentiating, they're going to stall out. So you need to be forward thinking about, okay, what's the next product to life cycle version, right? You can see this example in a lot of books. They do rewrites of books, redos of movies to get number two, number three, right? So they do this a lot. But for your individual case, and I don't know too much about your startup, but I've heard you talk about it on Josh's spaces in the past. But the point is, a tip for everyone is just monitor your revenue growth as an indicator. And if the revenue is growing, that's great. You're on the right trajectory. But the two other metrics that people discount, which are two of the most important things to monitor as well, in combination with revenue, is how many customers am I acquiring and how many customers am I retaining? This is absolutely critical. This is fundamentals that people miss out on. So if I'm not acquiring new customers and I'm not retaining customers, then I don't have a business. And if I don't have revenue, I don't have a business. So that's the first part. And then the second part is, um, yeah, I think that pretty much answered everything there. Go ahead, Katie, and then I want to go to Yvonne.
I appreciate you sharing and explaining your thought process and the way it pretty much works. I think that maybe my question, I didn't phrase it rightly or correctly, but what you're sharing, absolutely. I'm just talking about, because obviously listening to your health scare, looking at the title space before you graciously changed it. And for those that are just joining, I highly recommend that you go back and listen to the recording and follow one another. What an amazing community there is here. Is when you hit your limit or you're pushing yourself out of panic, or keep chasing that dragon, so to speak, rather than taking stock of what is. So I'm in this position now. My sister called always, so I'm in a position where it's garnered lots of traction, which is great. I just need the investment to put the pieces of the puzzle together in order to then launch it. But this isn't about me. But I made sure that I was in a position not to panic, to rush to launch it, not to just accept the first offer of investment, to be a little bit more relaxed about it, because it's not going anywhere. Yes, I wish I could have launched it yesterday or years ago, but I just wish to do it properly. But also not sit on that for too long either. So there's a middle ground there. But I was basically trying to ask if there are lots of people out there, and understandably, that panic because of the financials, or panic because their startup isn't going the way that they would have hoped, if that makes sense, because we're all human beings. We've got bills to pay, understandably. As a tech startup founder, I know what it's like. You put your absolute blood, sweat, and tears into everything that you build, and it is frightening, especially when you have kids and people that rely and depend upon you. It's tough, and it's a big risk, and you can go, and myself included, go into that panic mode. But I wanted to hear your thought process on panic over like the money side of things and revenue versus outgoings, and then whether your product or potential company or service is actually going the way you wish it would.
Yeah, yeah, I remember my second point now. Thank you for that reminder, Katie, and great question. So, so my philosophy is I have a utopic view. I've mentioned this on X plenty of times. So I have a utopic view that I really feel that every single person has the entrepreneurial gene inside of them. Okay, every single person. Now, are we all cut out to be entrepreneurs? No, no, it's not for everyone this life. Okay. With that being said, if you look at the macroeconomic environment, forced entrepreneurship will continue to be a trend. Thanks to AI, thanks to whatever you want to put in. That's just the reality. So what does that mean? That creates opportunity for those who decide to say, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna, try my own thing. I'm gonna give it a run here. Well, what else do I have to lose? I've been laid off 5 times, my situation, I got laid off 5 times. I never closed my agency. I've always kept it running. I've had people that trusted me, right? So everyone has their, skill sets. So why not give it a try? And you don't have to do, just do an hour a day, for, 300 days and see how much you can accomplish, right? Building a business. Now, there's a big difference between building a business and having the skill of being a financial analyst. Those are two different things, two different disciplines. And that's where I educate people a lot on if you want to build a business, there's different skill sets you need to learn to how to grow and build a business versus being a financial analyst. So what, and then to your point, Katie, is if people want to start businesses and, they have a certain amount of runway, right? You have a certain amount of funding that you have access to and capital. And so it's a touchy situation. I totally get it. I've been there. But my point is that, you know, passion doesn't pay the bills, but sales does, right? Sales pays the bills. And you can always like give me a problem of too many sales. I will take that problem every single day of the week. Why? Because you can navigate that. So people need to learn how to sell more on this platform, and they need to know how to, they need to know how to sell more, and they need to know how to, grow a business, right? And really grow a business, a sustainable business. And that's my hot take. And so that's what I'm doing. My part is like helping people bring in more revenue, grow a business. And my utopic view is everyone can be a creator and make revenue along the way. And ideally, you mentioned when is the point where it's like you're at your full potential. I'll tell you what it looks like for me is, I'm making 25K a month with, 60% profit margin, and I'm working 20 hours a week on my different businesses, and I'm doing the same thing I'm doing right now. I'm still hosting spaces every single day, Monday through Friday, growing the Revenue Ronin community. So not much is changing. I'm still running my agency. I'm still doing fractional CMO advisory. I'm managing my investments. I'm making 25K a month, and I have a 60% profit margin. So not too much is.
And sorry to interrupt real quick, but this goes right back to the very beginning. Is it so important? And I've got a massive smile on my face because it's so important. And I can't wait for you to re-listen to that and listen to yourself say this all out loud. I mean, this goes for anyone that's sharing, is take stock of all that you've done. I don't ever do this myself, so I'm preaching to the choir, my friend. It's just that when I got that email about my son, and I was like, oh man, it's about celebrating all that we've achieved thus far, and it lights that fire under your belly, but in the right way. So I don't mean to interrupt you, but I would just want to say I'm really proud of you, and like that gets me so excited. And I am really proud of you. I'm proud of each and every one of you in here. It's not an easy feat or task to take on, let alone communicate about it. So I'll mute my mic there. But Justin, amazing, and I'm giving you a big fat high five.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. And I'm so proud of you and, connecting with you on this platform. I've heard you speak a lot. I always pay attention because you're a gem here. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we do wins. So we have themes just to share with everyone. I think it's important for everyone to know is we have themes of each show throughout the week, throughout each day, right? So Monday is Momentum Monday in the Startup Circle. Tuesday is Tactical Tuesday in the Revenue Ronin community. Wednesday is Wisdom Wednesday in the Startup Circle. Thursday is more in the Revenue Ronin community, more on revenue and sales and, whatever the hot topic is of the day. And then Friday is Wins of the Week in the Startup Circle. And why do we celebrate our wins on Fridays is because where's the fuel, as Danielle says, it's in the wins, right? In the small wins, because those wins fuel us to keep going on this journey. Because look, you would be crazy to keep going on this journey. And look, the best analogy I can use for anyone on this journey, and this is like real talk right here. So when you start your own thing, and there's something to be said about pride having your own thing, and Katie, you hit on it. So when you do have your own thing, there's something more meaningful because it's yours, right? It's no one else's, right? It's Andy's, it's Yvonne's, it's Netta's, it's Christelle's, it's Will's, it's Vivi's. There's something to be said. No one can take that away from you, right? It's yours, it's your baby. And there's pride and joy to that. And there's a different level of passion and interest that comes with that. Because we pour our heart and soul into our jobs and our employers. But what about us? What about our thing? That's where this comes from. And that's where the Ronin philosophy comes from, because a Ronin is a masterless warrior. There's no master. I mean, only God. But on this earth, there's no master. Like, we are masterless warriors, sometimes forced into entrepreneurship, forced to become a Ronin, a masterless warrior. And so that's why this movement is not going away. This is our third year into the 5-year plan. So stick with us. If you like what you're hearing today, please like and repost the space, drop a comment or a question, and we'll get to these hands here. So, yeah, great stuff. Let's go to Yvonne. Yvonne, welcome. Happy Monday.
Hey, Justin. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I just have to say I'm so glad that you were okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a scary thing. And you guys, like, you always hear that, but your health is your wealth, man. No matter how much freaking money you have, if you're having health problems and you can't resolve those health problems, no amount of money can pay for that, right? Like, it's so, guard your health, like, no question about it. And if you're getting a cold, I'm just going to throw this in here because I learned this the hard way, but oh my God, it's been a game changer for me. At the first signs of getting a cold, I learned this, and like I said, it's been a game changer for me. Take some zinc and vitamin C, you guys, but zinc is even more important than vitamin C. Every time I get a cold now, because when I used to get sick and have to get prescriptions, and I'm not saying sometimes you don't need a darn antibiotic, no question about it, but I started taking Zicam, and I discovered that the main ingredient when people get that to lessen the duration of a cold is freaking zinc, especially if you have a compromised immune system. Not everybody does, but just, freaking take a zinc. I'm telling you, it'll knock it out pretty quick. But I'm so glad that you're all right. And there are so many things that I want to touch on related to this topic, and just having balance, you guys. Like you said, Justin, right? The consistency, and Will tapped into this too, and having balance. And I want to share something from Earl Nightingale because Will had mentioned him before, and this was such an important point to kind of pivot back to. Earl Nightingale wrote the book, The Strangest Secret, and also did a recording of that. And that book is literally how I discovered Think and Grow Rich, because he did that recording and recommended that book at the beginning. At the end of Think and Grow Rich. And one of the things that I thought about right off the bat in relation to this is you are so valuable on so many levels. Obviously to your family, God bless your wife for taking care of you. Like, it's so good to have a person that's looking out for you, especially when you're kind of the leader of the pack and you're always doing stuff. Sometimes you do need somebody else to be able to take care of you. But how, I would be like, so upset if something happened to you, for real. I'm sure so many of us in here would, but because not only just because of the awesome human that you are, but also the value that you are adding to all of us by the Revenue Ronin community and by having these spaces. And you've definitely added value to my life. And I am super grateful. And I know we're just like still getting started on all these things in the journey, but that's what it really comes down to, you guys. Like, when you start thinking about some of these fundamentals, and Earl Nightingale said something in that I won't ever forget, and it's a good thing to be reminded of. He said, people drive down the street and they see people in really big houses, or you go to different neighborhoods and stuff, right? And you think, oh my God, that person has so much money. Sometimes people are like, I wish I had that money. But one of the things that he used as an example with that is that it's kind of like looking at a ruler when you're looking at that, like a measuring ruler. He said, you can always base the quality, the level of service that someone is providing based on, like their living condition. I'm kind of doing a botch job because my brain's still waking up right now. But basically, that, people who have these really big houses that have a lot of money and all these other kind of things, it's just because they're providing a service. And the difference in having those bigger things like that is because they're providing service at scale, right? There are different levels of service that you provide, but everything comes back to providing a service. And one of the things that he said in there, he said, people say, I want to make a lot of money. And he said, the only people that make money are those that work in the mint. He said, if you want to have a lot of money, you have to earn money. And he was basically saying that the money that you earn is in direct proportion to the service that you provide to other people, to the world. And that's something that I thought was such a powerful shift, because it's so true. The only reason that some of the people might be having, a big house or multi-millions versus, 100,000 or six-figure type thing is because they're providing more service. They're providing service to more people at scale, right? Like, if you're doing a consulting business and you're having individual clients and you have, maybe 10, 20 clients or something, you're providing service. So the money that you receive in return for that is in direct proportion to the service that you provide. If you want to earn more money, right, then you just need to provide service to more people. And that comes back to scaling. But the most important thing to remember is, with whatever it is that you are doing, are you providing a service? Money is basically, you build it, they will come. If you're providing a service, the money will come. If it's a service that's going to help improve people's lives in some capacity or another, and paying it forward, and that takes time, right? Like, it does take time, especially when you're first initially starting out. But with whatever business that anybody is doing, for one, especially if you're in good health, get on it. I'm just going to tell you right now, because the last thing you want is then you end up having health issues. That's what happened with me after COVID in 2020 and stuff. And I never had health issues in my life ever, right? And then once that hits you, you're like, oh crap, you know what I mean? Like, I had all this time to be able to do this. Don't waste that time with whatever it is that you're doing and building, right? Like, start putting it out there now, because you never know if some kind of life thing is going to happen to you that's going to throw you off kilter. But that's why having community and accountability and spaces like this and the Ronin community and Will's community of unshakable entrepreneurs is so important, because when you have those setbacks, when you have those dips, it helps you to keep consistent, because we all have the highs and the lows. The entrepreneurial journey can be, actors have this all the time too. It can be very much a solo thing, right? But even if you're building and working on your own thing, doesn't mean that you can't sometimes lean on the others for emotional support when you hit those dips, and that's what helps you stay persistent, having that other outside support. And I'd also have to say, cash flow is king, you guys, right? Like, you could have a ton, and that's why consistency is so important. You could have a ton of freaking money where you're crushing sales and you're making a ton, right? And maybe like the first 3 months or something, maybe you bank like, 150K or whatever on your first sales. Anything is possible. But then you have to make sure that even after that happens, that you're continuing to show up and to deliver, because you're not going to be able to live on that forever. And when life things happen to you and they throw you off, that's when you really start to learn that. That's why having that consistent revenue that you talk about, Justin, is so important, because you need to be able to have that cash flow on a regular basis so it's not depleting all your funds with things. But the bottom line I just wanted to share is, with whatever it is that you're doing and putting out there and building, instead of, sometimes we get, I've had this before, and I know a lot of people, is, that you want to obviously build something for your family or whatever, but the money is only a direct correlation to the service that you are providing. So instead of thinking, oh, I want to make a lot of money, I want to make a lot of revenue, I'm not saying that's not a good target to aim for, but when you shift that pivot to how much service am I providing, that's when you really start to level up. But that's also when you don't burn out. And then that's how you make sure that you stay consistent, so that you're continuing to put that service out there. You're continuing to level it up. And then if you're providing to a certain number of people, then you can say to yourself, well, how can I provide more? It all comes back to, how are you improving people's lives? How are you improving the world, including your family and friends and those around you? And sometimes we get lost in the numbers, and I'm not saying that's important, but just remember that the numbers are in direct correlation, and they're basically a result of the service that you are providing, whatever that may be.
Yeah, you're speaking my love language here, Yvonne. I've quoted that numerous times, that exact quote about, hey, you want to make money? Well, we don't make money. The mint prints money. Like, we're paid in direct proportion to the value we provide. And yeah, it's so well said, because we need to be reminded of that more frequently than not, because money is just that byproduct of how much value we deliver and service at scale, right? So if you want to bring in more revenue, you really want to serve more people. Essentially, that's it. One of my mentors, Bill Walsh, he reminds me of that all the time. Like, you want to make more money, Justin? You got to figure out a way to serve more people at scale, right? At scale. And that's the challenging part, right? Because you can only do, so many group calls per month with a certain amount of people. There's caps, right? So it's like, whatever your business model is, and this goes for everyone, whether you're selling a product or a service, figure out, how can I, get more users or serve more people at scale, and make sure you're maintaining quality with the existing customers and users. This is absolutely critical. Uh, Prime example, I'm going through this right now, is I have a few clients, my marketing agency, that I'm, dedicated towards, and, they're on retainer with me, and I'm making sure that I'm delivering on a monthly basis the deliverables, but, I'm always finding more deliverables that changes the scope of work, right? So if you find out more problems, challenges as you get into the trenches more and more with these clients, you realize that, oh, they have problems over here, they have challenges over here I can help with, right? And then you just update the scope of work accordingly. So, and that's going to be more, because you're providing more value, right? So as long as you're demonstrating, hey, I'm able to provide more value with X, Y, and Z, then that's more revenue and cash flow for you. But learn, as you scale, you need to focus on people, process, and systems. Those three things, write it down: people, process, and systems, in that order. And don't try to use the systems first, because unless you have a person that's an expert with the tool you're going to be in for a rude awakening and you're going to waste money. Okay, this happens all the time, and it's happening right now. And I'll pin the post above right here. This is exactly what's happening, which we predicted it in the beginning. A lot of people on spaces that I've talked to with AI, right? Multiple industry studies, including work summarized by Gartner Research and McKinsey, show 70 to 80% of AI initiatives stall before production or fail to scale. Gartner forecasts that over 40% of agentic AI projects will be abandoned by 2027, 40%, due to unclear outcomes and poor integration. And then the last one is data quality, unclear ownership, and misaligned processes account for over 80% of AI failures. Let me repeat that one. Data quality, unclear ownership, and misaligned processes account for over 80% of AI failures, not the model performance. So again, people, process, systems in that exact order if you want to have a scalable, sustainable, growing business model. And if your business model doesn't include AI right now, then you're most likely not going to be in business in the future. So every single business right now should have an AI component to their business. I mean, it's a necessity. And don't forget the fundamentals of AI: cost savings, increase in productivity, accelerated learnings, and accelerated revenue growth potentially. Those are the essentials. So, yeah, great points as always, Yvonne. Thanks for being here and thank you for the kind words. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna, yeah, really focus on my health here and get my heart where it needs to be. And yeah, absolutely.
The structure of a business can be told by AI, but has to be implemented by humans. The talking to other people can be described and initiated by AI, but it has to be resolved by humans. Meaning, we can create web pages and you can click a link and you can do whatever, but until the human says, hey, do you have this problem? I've had this problem. Let me show you how to fix it. It's not going to make a difference. It's the human structure of the problems, not the tools you use. You can give any 16-year-old kid a Ferrari, put them in an F1 car. They'll probably be able to drive it for a little while. They get it up to speed. They're going to crash. They're going to destroy the car and probably kill themselves. It's not the tool that's the answer. The tool is not the answer. My first book was called It's Just a Hammer. Right. And it was about this whole new idea of, by the way, I never published it, but it was about this idea that, oh, we've got these computers, they're going to change the world. Yes, they are, but they're only going to change the world if you use them, but they only work if you use them the right way. It's just a hammer. You can use it to break stuff. You can use it to build stuff. There are amazing craftsmen with a hammer, but that's the key. You want to be awesome in the future? You have to become a craftsman of whatever you choose, right? And the tools, they're just getting better and better every day, but they don't make the cabinets, craftsmen do.
Yeah, well said. Yep. I love the F1 analogy. If you guys want to watch a really cool documentary on Netflix, the Formula One series, it's pretty good. So, but yeah, well said, Andy. I agree. Let's go to Will now, and then we'll go to Drac, and then Kevin. I'm trying to bring you up, and not sure why it's not able to get up here, but yeah, Will, over to you, man.
Let's pass it to Drag for a sec. I'm just in the middle of something on the back end here, but I'll come back in towards the end. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. All right, Drac, welcome. How's it going?
Hey guys, thanks for having me up. Thanks Justin, Andy, and Yvonne, and yeah, it's been a great show. I've really enjoyed listening. I've kind of been taking notes, so I'll be efficient with my time, just so that I kind of hit all the points that I've been listening to. I can't remember the gentleman's name that was in earlier. We were talking about burnout, and I was thinking about it like a golf swing. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people do business on the golf course. So, Justin, I don't know if you golf, but if you do, you'll understand that it's not about how hard you swing. It's about your tempo and how smooth you swing. And you will often hit farther with less effort. So that's how I always try to think about the burnout thing. To kind of add to that topic, somebody had said it's hard on your cardiovascular system. I used to be the guy that worked 4 weeks on. I mean, as hard as I could go. Sleep didn't matter. It was just a thing that got in the way. And then I'd take a week off. And I thought to myself, I'm doing myself the favor by giving myself the week off. I ended up actually with heart failure because of this practice. And ever since changing it, I haven't had the issue return. Because what happens is, you might think, oh, I'm giving myself that time off. There's my balance. But when you go so hard for so long and then you drop off, that day comes, boom, I'm off now. Your immune system really takes a huge jump. And so I actually ended up getting sick often from that practice. And so after a lot of medical tests and stuff, it was like, oh, your pattern's out of whack. So I shifted to a more balanced approach, and the problems never returned. So just, it's not, you can't tweak it to suit your liking, I guess, is my point there. You have to really listen to your body and take that smooth golf swing as opposed to hammering at it. I did have a question about, I'm kind of going in order here too. I had a question, Justin, about some content stuff. So just for my own efforts, so I'm typically service-based, have been contract-based for quite a number of years, but that model's really shifting, right, to the fractional, like you guys talk about here a lot. And I'm making that shift. And so there's obviously just the different price point and time and expectations and the way you go about delivering certain services and stuff in a bit of a different way. But when you were talking about MRR, I guess for me, I'm still in that figuring out phase where, okay, I know I drive X value to my community daily at no cost. Like currently not monetizing anything, just in that process of starting to do so. So the answer to me is obvious that, well, anything I do extra has to go on top of the value I'm currently delivering because that becomes the staple. So then to my question is, I'm trying to figure out where is the balance or where is the line of sorts for taking essentially my experience and my knowledge, turning it into some sort of monetizable resource through community, and I'm gathering courses and stuff seem to be the way that most people are doing it, although I'm kind of hesitant to just jump on and do it because I've not done it before. So my question is, the content that when I ramp up my content generation, how do I understand best which I monetize and which, and I guess if you just had suggestions from previous experience. So that's my question. And then real quickly, I want to say, Yvonne, thank you. Great. Everything was awesome. Great. Appreciate with all your remarks. Awesome outlook on stuff. Justin, you mentioned people, process, systems. The funny thing is, like, we don't need people as much anymore. So it kind of forces us all to start thinking process and systems, because one person can do what what used to be the people part can be removed for entrepreneurs and creative solution solvers, like the people in this room. And then Andy, you mentioned it's not the Hammer book. I wish you published it. So I'm sure it would have been good. It got me thinking about when you were talking slightly about how Apple devices is very intentionally removed the device away so that it was more about the user and the experience. And so your little convo about the hammer there was a nice thought about just that whole kind of psychology and things. So ultimately, my question, Justin, just the deciding factor, how to best monetize the above and the beyond value that I'm currently creating.
Yeah, thanks, Drac. And yeah, thank you for the kind words. And it's really hitting home because it sounds like you had a similar journey to me where you're just going hard, getting sick all the time, heart issues. Like, yeah, that's
You've said a lot of things.
yeah.
I'm thinking he's my doppelganger at this point. Yeah. No, there's a lot of. I read a bunch of your bios and your stuff. I feel like you've already paddled the river that I'm now staring down. To go. right there, and knowing fully that I can paddle the stream, but also seeing like, oh, Justin cut a line already. How was it going up that part, right? So yeah, no, I see a lot of similarities. So that's why I'm asking if I'm at that transition phase where I've had a really great career. I've done really cool projects, but they're on large scale, they're enterprise, they're contract based. Is not the same as much as I would like it to be. Oh, it's just the same thing but fractionalized. It's not a crypto coin, you know what I mean? It's a skill set that I need to monetize while maintaining what I'm delivering, for free in essence. So I don't know, just a little advice if you got some thoughts there. I'm coming from a technical development standpoint where you're kind of coming from marketing, but I can make the connection.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'll try to be brief here because I know we're gonna go till 8:15 here, guys. So just plan accordingly. So if I see you down below, thank you, Christelle, Will, Nino. We'll get to you guys. And but I want to answer this as a great question. So the first thing is the style of doing business nowadays is, and there's one book that comes to mind, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? So that book essentially says that you have to deliver a massive amount of value first before you make any sort of ask. Okay. And so the reality is you're going to have to invest a lot of sweat equity, brand equity, in building up. Like I didn't get my first paying member into the Ronin community for I think it was around 8 months. Okay, so I'm on X 8 months, delivering value every day, building relationships, and you can ask Yvonne and Christelle, they can back me up. Like I didn't ask for anything. I didn't talk about the Revenue Ronin community at all. It wasn't even a thing. But it was people like Christelle and others that I've been surrounded with on X where I said, hey, maybe I should start a membership community. Maybe I should start a membership site. And I even had a mentor coach me, and he said, Justin, you need to do this. Like this has been on your heart. Like you need to do this. And so I was like, okay. So I got really clear, right? It starts with clarity on what that would look like. And then I had my first Ronin sign up, Dan Ryan. He's down below right there, which I'm so grateful for. And it was, a special, rate for the right ICP, which was solo founders, right? Solo entrepreneurs. So key things to know is it's got to be the right audience, right? Solo founders or whoever you're catering to, because those enterprise people, it doesn't make sense for them, right? So this is why I always teach you have three price points. You have your high ticket for your enterprise clients, which I have them. I have enterprise clients who pay me $600 an hour now. That's my new rate for fractional CMO advisory. They just want an hour. I send them a bill for $600. They get an hour of my time and they bring in 25K in revenue, right? From one call. That's been the outcome. So the point is you have your high ticket, your mid ticket, and your low ticket, right? The low ticket for me is the revenue running community, monthly recurring revenue, where I'm helping people, meeting them where they're at their level to help coach them, advise them, and they get access to me and my expertise, and I can help them grow, right? And then you have the mid level and the high ticket. So for you, kind of similar, find those people who they can't afford your fractional CTO or CIO, I forget which one you are, but they can't afford your high rates, but they can afford like some monthly access to a group call, right? So they can get that advisory, they can get that expertise, they can get access to you. That's what you're selling at the end of the day. You're selling expertise, access to you, accountability, and yeah, and essentially, but again, it took me 8 months before I made a single dollar, right? In the membership community. And it takes a lot, and then we'll kick it over to Will because I know he has some tips on. You mentioned something that I was like, oh yeah, Will's done that. He would be able to speak to this as well. But yeah, it takes time, sweat equity. Most people, it's going to be challenging, but it's possible, right? And I started off on Patreon, and then I migrated over to Buy Me Coffee, thanks to Christelle. And so now I'm just going to continue on with Buy Me Coffee for now, and because it's working. And when you switch platforms, there is a bit of a churn that occurs.
Fall off. Was there a particular product or that you turned or service that you turned into a product that you found, or the mechanism, I should say? Did you find webinars or group calls more effective than other things, or outside of say an email list? What was the first one that you found had the best success?
Yeah, I mean, for me, for the Ronin community, it was spaces. Like that's how I got, majority of the Ronin members is from spaces. But that's not to say you can't do this model with webinars and you can't do it with you know, in person either. It's just you got to try it, right? Everything is testing. So, what worked for me may not work for you, but I think it's worth exploring. But yeah, I mean, just you got a lot of connections. You got to have those conversations, right? So start having those conversations now. Don't wait to launch now. Just start having the conversations now, and then you can start to, develop it alongside of what you're doing with your corporate clients. So, but yeah, good stuff, Drac. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully this is helpful for you, and thanks for the health tips. I will definitely take those to note. But yeah, let's go over to Will, and then we'll go to Nino and Christelle. Okay, Will, over to you.
Thank you, Justin. Drac, just to answer your question, because you mentioned something that I have failed at, which I have now solved, might be helpful. When you're doing a community MRR model, people are not joining for courses because they will complete the course and leave. They're joining, as Justin said, for access to you. That is the product. So when they're joining Drac's community for you. Now you might have in that community courses, resources, things like that, but they're not the primary driver. They could be supplemental value adds or bespoke solutions. They're joining for you or for the mission that you are representing, right? And this is kind of my hard won lesson because I've done 2 communities, and the one I'm currently doing is going through a pivot now as I got my ass kicked by my mentor the other day, and he basically said, "Well, this is stupid. Here's the smart thing to do." So a story for another time. But what I'll say is, if your primary goal is MRR from the community, then an ongoing mission with access to you is the product, and then everything else is supplemental to that. And that way, as long as they get what they want from you every month, like access to your expertise, they will stay. I have noticed. And currently my MRR is about 1,000 with the community, just under. And my primary driver at the moment is actually partnerships. And we did ours, I did one with Jason Barrett. We're doing another one this month. And webinars into that. But a great thing about community is if you want to partner with other people, for example, I partner with Justin, who is an educator in sales and marketing. I am not an educator. I am in the back end. I enforce consistency on the identity level. So it works really well. Justin tells them what to do, and I provide the support to make sure they actually follow through and do it. Because just like Andy was saying earlier, today, there are 3 problems entrepreneurs face. What to do, easily solved. How to do it, find a good mentor, they will tell you. The only other question left then is, will you do it? And that's where most people fail. And that's where I've chosen to solve. So hopefully in there was something that was useful to you, man. But yes, you are the product. That is the biggest lesson I've learned over the last 18 months now of community-driven models. Because if you just build it and you give them what they want, they'll say thank you and they will leave because they got what they wanted.
And I think correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but we were on a space months ago with VB where we came up and Christelle was there too and Andy, where the completion rate of courses is like what, 7%, 10%?
Less. So according to Udemy and their recent completion percentage, the completion rate is 4%. The application rate is a fraction of a percent. So when people buy a course, 96% of them won't even finish it. And the few that do will not implement it. It is like 1 in 1,000 that will actually say, yes, I'm taking this, I'm applying this, and take it all the way through to completion and success. And the reason is twofold. When you get information, you get a dopamine hit that tells you you've solved the problem. And anyone in this space that has downloaded an X giveaway on their Notion and never used it, you've experienced this. I'm sure you've got plenty of them.
Yeah. Yeah, well said.
the other part of that, the really dangerous part of that is people want to change, but they want safety more than they want success. And their brain is literally wired for this. It is a survival predictive model. So unless the pain of staying where you are is greater than the pain of change, you will not change. And no amount of courses can stop this. This is a human success and survival mechanism that has had hundreds of thousands of years of positive reinforcement. So the way to change, the way to actually get a different result is to make staying who you are more painful than changing. And it sounds harsh. It sounds like, oh my God, I've got to go ahead and make it painful. You've got to make changing the lesser of the two evils, the path of least resistance. Now, I do this in my specific way. I've put a framework in the chat, which is my weekly framework. That was for VB on how you can make inconsistency mechanically impossible. That's what I use. But find what works for you and then enforce it. And that's the tricky part. Because when the same person who has to meet the standards is doing the behavior, the standard comes down to meet the behavior. This is why external standards are so powerful, like a personal trainer in the gym, because now all you've got, your only variable is the behavior. Did you do it or not? That's when that completion percentage goes from 4% to 95%. And that's from the University of Scranford, who studied that.
And here's what's funny about when I was a personal trainer, I was like their therapist too, right? So when I was the top seller, no surprise, right? So I was the top seller and I wanted to push myself to my limit back in my 20s. I wanted to see, hey, I want to do everything. So I was going to school, I was running my IT business, I was a personal trainer because I got a free membership. I did it all. But one of the things you notice is that you develop such good rapport with people as being their personal trainer, it's like you're their therapist, right? So same thing happens with these spaces, right? So you'll notice that, these are like therapy for me, right? These are like therapeutic sessions. And you go into these spaces and you're like, wow, I needed to hear that, right? I needed to hear that through the conversation of just two other people. It doesn't even have to be directed at you, but you pick up something and you're like, wow, I really needed to hear that, you know? So yeah, so part of the journey is yes, having a mentor, but it's also like essentially kind of like your therapist. So, but I know we're wrapping up now and I want to start.
Jump in real quick and say, just add on to what Will said.
Yeah, go for it.
I think, first of all, the pain of staying where you are versus the pain of moving to the new thing, whatever has the most pain wins because you'll avoid pain. And then here's the second part, and this is my controversial take of the day. Everybody should get into a position where they get fired, where they are absolutely incompetent and not capable of doing the thing. Either they will figure it out, or they'll choose to just back off. And the real question is, have you ever been faced with those moments? Have you ever put yourself in a situation where, oh my God, I'm out of my depth, and then either swim, metaphorically, either swim or sink or die or go back or put on a life jacket? The point is, if you want to become a solo entrepreneur, if you want to live the life, if you want to achieve the objectives that you have as your dreams, you must be willing to swim with the sharks. You must be willing to be scared, S-less. You must be willing to face the abyss and stare it down. And most people aren't. They're too afraid to make a phone call. They're too afraid to pick up and join a space. They're sitting at the bottom of this thing, not even pressing the I want to talk mic, let alone going in a meeting, let alone saying, hey, listen, I know you spent 30 years building this business. Sell it to me. I'll make you more money than you have now because you suck as a leader and I'm way better than you. Nobody, not nobody, but because I do that. Very few people are willing to do that. But here's the challenge for today. You want momentum? You want to have anything close to your full potential? Everything you're avoiding is what controls you. Everything you're avoiding is what's going to destroy you. Everything you're avoiding because you are afraid is what's going to crush you. So you must be willing to face your fears. And frankly, the best way to do that is to get fired and have to figure out how to make some more money. It is, and it works. And there is no shame in getting fired. It just means you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Doesn't mean it's you. Just means you're sitting in the wrong chair. Find a different chair. Build up, learn, get better, whatever. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't recommend anyone start their own business unless they, maybe you already have a full-time job, maybe you don't, but ideally, like you want to start it off as a side hustle first is my best recommendation. This isn't financial advice. This is just business consulting 101 from Justin. So you have revenue coming in from a full-time job. That's great. So right away, start building your own business on the side as a side hustle right away. Because then once you get it to 80%, if you get that revenue from your own business to 80%, that's when the time, in my opinion, excuse me, is to, tell the full-time job, look, I appreciate everything. Give your 2 weeks notice respectfully, and then go all in on yourself and your own thing. Once you hit 80% of the revenue that you're making, that's the time. So, and I see we have some people coming requesting, Mike, we're closing out this space here. So my apologies. Please show up tomorrow. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for your flexibility. We've gone 15 minutes over. I gotta get back to my other calls here. So we're gonna go final word right now over to Nino, to Christelle, and then Andy and Kevin, and then we're gonna wrap up. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Nino, over to you.
I was listening, and the guy was talking about how his health took a toll because of just the grind, and that's what happened to me about 2 to 3 years ago. And creating those healthy habits that I'm actually still doing today. Getting that good night's sleep, but also working at the wellness center. I started doing the IVs and then also vitamin shots. So a lot of people that do see me, they've seen the transformation. It's not just the physical, it's also the mental and the spirit. So my advice to anyone, where if you're just constantly grinding and you're stressing out, look at some of these wellness centers, because as we get older, our recovery takes a longer time to happen. So utilizing those IMs and the IVs will definitely help you out. So thank you for the phone.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder, Nino. Yeah, I needed that after this weekend. So yeah, listen to the replay and you can hear what happened to me. But yeah, man, appreciate you, Nino. Sending a lot of love and light to you and your pursuit, and just keep up the great work, and and thanks for being a Ronin, man. Really, really means a lot. So thank you. Okay, Christelle, over to you. Final word.
Hi, Justin. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm sorry I missed the beginning, Justin. I'll be texting you and I'm sending you prayers. I was on the phone with my mother because her sister died a couple days ago. So she's in Puerto Rico and I hadn't talked to her. Yeah, it's crazy, y'all. My dad was in the hospital. My grandfather was in the hospital. They made it through. And then my grandfather's daughter just passed. So it's been a wild holiday season. I know so many people have been ill. So everyone, please take good care of yourself and call your loved ones, call the people that you haven't spoke to in a while. That's her biggest regret right now. My mom is dealing with that she hasn't seen her sister. So anyways, much love to everyone. I did share a quick post at the top that was inspired by Drax's question. Thanks so much for that question. And I love that I see your face now. That's a big move when it comes to personal branding. So that's really awesome. So just quick, it's at the top. You can answer these questions with ChatGPT and get some ideas. But the 3 questions you should always ask yourself is, what problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? And how are you uniquely positioned to solve it? If you can answer those 3 questions, then you can start to create content pillars, and you can host spaces around content pillars. You can do newsletters around these content pillars, and then you let the audience tell you what they are into based on the data, right? Open rates or impression rates or engagement replies, whatever it is. And then you lean in there, you go where those people exist in the market and you serve them, but don't miss what Justin said, which is that he was hosting spaces for 8 months before he made an ask. But this gives you at least some guidance for what to do and what kind of content to do in the meantime. So hope that helps everyone. I did pin it at the top. Justin, feel free to pull it down. I just wanted people to quickly, use that if they want. And then I am hosting a space at 2 p.m. Eastern with Ani, Unconfined, and the rest of the crew, all about owning your digital assets. So that's going to be the big topic in 2026, is owning your own digital assets.
Ooh, that's kind of one of my specialties. I will be there. I will see you there. And thank you for that list very much.
Yeah, thank you, Christelle. That's some good alpha there. So yeah, thank you. And yeah, we'll connect on the back channel. Sorry to hear about the family issues. And yeah, guys, health is number one right now. That's why at the end of when I say my sign off, I say health now. So stay tuned for that. I'll be signing out in about a minute here. So let's go to Andy and then Kevin, and then I got to sign us off. So, okay, Andy, real quickly. Thank you.
Most people try to stay safe and avoid controversy because we've been taught that's what polite society does. But if you're going to be a solo entrepreneur, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, embrace it. It creates people talking. And if people talk and comment and engage, they're creating engagement. Engagement is what every single platform wants, including yours. It's okay if half the people hate you and talk S about you, because that means that 4 billion people probably like you. Who cares if 4 billion people hate you? You only need 20 customers to make a living. You don't even need 20 customers, one good customer, but I recommend take whatever number you want to make per month, divide it by 20 and say, that's my price. And then figure out some way to add value to that level. That's it. Do that. Find 20 people who are interested. Always search and get 100 more, and you will have a business forever. And you will be at least financially stable for a long period of time. But controversy is not bad. I say all kinds of kind of outrageous things all the time, right? Pain is good. You should put yourself in a place to get fired. You should be way out of your league. You should rub shoulders with people that you think are so awesome and special, because you'll find out they're just normal. They poop like you do. They put their pants on the same way. They have to wear socks. Please, they're just people. Anyway, great job. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. I'm loving this new Andy Unfiltered for the 2026 season here. So thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And appreciate your friendship. Okay, final word over to you, Kevin. Then I gotta get some water.
Good morning, Justin. Good morning, everybody. Apologize for my voice a little bit. I have fallen deathly ill. I've been ill all week, but now is the day it's really, really hitting me up as well. So in terms of keeping your health in check, guys, absolutely. And I got to be honest, I absolutely have to, give credit to myself for falling ill as well. I think I'm experiencing a little bit of burnout. I think things have been, a little bit tense. Been kind of in and out of these spaces whenever I got time, really doubling down and honing in on consulting and just everything else revolved around the work. But at the end of the day, it's not really worth it when you end up getting yourself sick as well, to the point where you even have to miss church. It's unfortunate I missed church, and it just wasn't really worth it. But any words of wisdom for me as well to close off this thing: learn copywriting, man. I cannot stress this enough. Right? I'm a ghostwriter. I'm a copywriter. I've been in the field as well, and I can never stress the importance of really understanding and utilizing the skills of copywriting as well, because every single project, good laid out project, requires some sort of copy as well. When you're making a movie, right, what's the first thing people do? They go to the drawing board, they write things down so that the whole crew can understand things. If you're writing thread openers, that requires copy. A landing page requires copy. A video script requires copy. A newsletter requires copy. Products, content, emails, advertisements, all these things require you to get really good at copy as well. And I find that my clients who really understand and utilize copy, and with psychology and understanding the human desires, wants, and psyche, things really do work out for them, and they just cannot go wrong with these things as well. So really get into the habit of, just writing. I don't care if it's journaling, just 5-10 minutes a day of writing down your own goals.
get into it. Pen and paper is best if you're just starting out as well, because that's when your brain is really consuming it. But of course, when it comes to the work as well, we all obviously have technology for that, for implementations. But that's it for me, Justin. Apologize for my voice, but yeah, I hope everybody has a good one. Stay healthy, guys. So have a good one, everybody. Hoping to see you, Christelle. Just what time is that going to be at? The space with Unconfined and everybody. I think she's fallen asleep, but thank you guys so much, and this amazing community as well. 2026 is going to be the biggest year for the Startup Circle crew, and I love you all. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers, Kevin. Get better, man. Sending a lot of love your way, and yeah, just vitamin C, liquids, zinc now. Zinc. I forgot my zinc. That's what I was forgetting. So yeah, I'm more of a natural homeopathic type of solution person. So yeah, I don't like taking a lot of meds, but I mean the weirdest thing that I mean, yeah, it was scary. Like, when I was in the ER on Saturday for my heart, like they they had there's 20 people standing around me. Like the whole freaking emergency room was down there, and so it was a bit scary, but they give me the first liquid thing to reset my heart and it didn't work. And then they're like, "All right, well, we're going to try one more time, and if this doesn't work, then we have to shock your heart." And I was like, "Oh God, okay." So then they gave me the second dose, and then somehow my heart went back into rhythm. So yeah, because I had a SVT episode, super ventricular tachycardia episode, where my heart was beating 220 beats a minute. I was in pain, and yeah, it was scary. So thankfully I'm here. Thankfully I'm on the space today, and it was a scary time, and a lot of things were going through my mind at that time. So but just grateful for being able to be here with you guys, and breathing and billing. We're gonna get back to it, but yeah, it's a wake up call for me. So I'm gonna have to make some adjustments, and I haven't been able to work out in like 2 months because I've been sick every freaking day. So yeah, there's a lot of things to take inventory of for me right now. So I appreciate everyone's support, and all the kind words and well wishes, and we're gonna continue moving forward. So the movement is continuing. The startup circle is here. We're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, God willing. And thank you for everyone's contributions on today's space. And just remember, at the end of our lives, we'll ask ourselves 4 simple questions. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And did I make a difference? Until next time, keep making a difference. Build that mind, build that body, build that business, build that bank account, but most importantly, build that legacy. So stay hungry, stay healthy, and stay humble. We'll see you guys at the top. If you want to keep growing, check out the Revenue Ronin. We've had over 40 people sign up. You could be number 41, and prices went up, so adjust accordingly. And we'll be here tomorrow in the Revenue Ronin community for Tactical Tuesday, and make it a productive, but most importantly, profitable day, guys. Profitable. All right, much love.